Military! Military restrictions. There are there's one way to sum this up. Nobody leaves the house. Period. You're not allowed to leave the house unless you're going to work or school if you're a child. If you're a teenager or you're an elder, you're not leaving a lot unless you have 10 body skill points. It means elders are not going to work unless you're buff. Teens, you're not going to school or work unless you're buff, which means you're going to be sitting at the house twiddling your thumbs, being useless, or consuming resources, something like that. Something. Hey Pierre, how you doing? Hey, come here! Come here! Come here! Come here! That's a good boy. That's a good boy. Yeah. Anywho, you can't really leave the house. You also can't really invite people over to the house. Unless the only people who can come to the house are best friends. That's only if you have a vehicle. If you don't have a driveway with a car plopped onto it, out of luck. You can only talk to people over the phone. The only other way is people you have the red heart with. No pink hearts, not crushes. They have to be love. It has to be love. Otherwise, sorry. It's kind of important to make sure that everybody has blah blah. Also, you are not allowed to move out Sims or send teenagers to university or college. It said college, I wrote down uni because it's called university. I don't know. Picky. That's pretty much it. No community lock going, no inviting people over except lovers or best friends with a car, no sending tenants to university, and no moving out. Now this is kind of tricky. You're like, well, what's the phone here for? Is this gamer? No, that's not gamer. I don't have seasons installed, and like I said, it's the base rules, which only go up to open for business. This is Slacker. Why is it a phone? Because it's all work related. You cannot use the phone. You cannot retire. Elders cannot retire from their jobs. You are not allowed to use any vacation days. You cannot ignore your career, your chance cards that are related. You cannot ignore any chance card. Period. Which are usually they're tied to careers, but in the later expansions they tie them to other things like like when you go for a walk or a jog from free time and stuff like that. But you cannot ignore any chance cards. If it pops up says option A, option B, or ignore, you have to pick either option A or B. You cannot hit ignore. There is no getting out. There is no exit strategy. And on top of all that, did you miss a day at work? Oh no, you're gonna have to quit the job. You cannot miss a single day of work or you lose the job, which is pretty bad for your founder if you're like in the middle or towards the end of your life and you still haven't lifted something. But you lose a day, you forget to go to work, you lose your job, period. No excuses. And what happens if you lose your job, whether it being fired or you quit because you missed a day of work? You can't go back into that job at all, ever again. So, if Blueberry Pie here, myself, was in a job of in the military, and he got thrown out because I missed a day of work, I can't go back in the military, period. That applies for any career. You can't go back in athlete if you're fired from athlete. You can't go back into anything if you were fired from anything. And that's pretty much Slacker in a nutshell. Oh, come on. This is law enforcement booth. Let me find that real fast. Which page is... There it is. Okay. The main things that most people will notice is no fire detector, no burglar alarm. And that extends to car alarms as well. You're not allowed to buy car alarms. And you can't have the fire sprinkler. I forgot to put the fire sprinkler in. But you know fire sprinkler as long as law enforcement is still restricting everything. The phone's there because you can't use to make it any. You can't call the police. You can't call the fire department. You have to handle everything on your own. Oh, that's it. Sorry. Law enforcement says if you're a teenager or an elder, you can't leave the lot unless you have 10 body skill. I'm sorry. Ignore what I said about military. It's in law enforcement that restriction is in. So what I said a few minutes ago does not apply to military. It applies to law enforcement. As far as teens and elders leaving the lot. Teens and elders can't leave the lot unless they have 10 body skill until law enforcement is lifted. And you can't call for runaways. So if a teenager runs away, you can't call the police because the police don't exist. I could do the flavor text. I don't have it written down. I'd have to go look it. I have to pop up my laptop. It's very funny though. Culinary! Let me find... here it is. Culinary. Culinary restricts a lot of things food-wise. You cannot buy any ovens. You cannot buy any small appliances. You can't have the expensive grill. The only thing you are allowed is a refrigerator and the cheapo grill. Now, that might not be so bad, you might think. Well, it gets worse. Culinary says you are only allowed to have 1 meal made a day. So, let's say you say, oh, I want to have a bowl of cereal. I have a bowl of cereal. Well, guess what? You just wasted your food item of the day. You better make sure that you serve a bowl of cereal, not have a bowl of cereal. So that way, you know, you have a lot of food to go around versus, oh, you ate the 1 bowl of cereal. Gosh, I guess everybody else is going to have to starve. That's pretty much it. And the main number 1 thing about that is you are not allowed to make gelatin. Gelatin is off limits. You cannot at all have gelatin. It's off limits. Sorry guys. Pinstar says no. And you cannot have any people deliver food to your house. So no pizza, no Chinese food, nothing. You have to make the food yourself, and you can only make 1 meal a day. So make it good. The easiest way to remember, after you make your meal, turn the fridge around. That's the easiest way people remember, I got my meal for the day. Oh, and another thing, no cakes, no birthday cakes, no wedding cakes, no buying wine as far as I'm concerned. I don't think you're even allowed to have a bar. I hope. I don't remember about bars, but I'm putting them in off limits. Not like I really use bars anyway. And you cannot have catering tables. One important thing though, baby bottles do not count against the 1 meal restriction. So, you can have as many baby bottles as you want. You should have as many in the faces. Look, it's science! What does this mean? What's restricted with science? Well, here's what's restricted with science. Anything related in the light category. Anything in the electronics category. You're not allowed to have anything like that. The only thing you can have, electronics-wise, is a computer, which you can only use it to write novels. You can only use the computer to write novels or to write term papers. That's it. Until science is lifted, that's all you can use it for. And you can have a cheapo radio, which you need in order to work out and build your body skill, since that's the only way you can build body skill with all the gym equipment locked down. And you can have 1 telephone. Only 1 telephone. No more. So make sure you put it in a nice area. And let's see what else. No robots and no robot benches. No trash compactors. No guitars or bass. I didn't put the guitars or bass in there, or the trash compactor, because I plumb forgot. And the guitar and the bass are kind of restricted by the artists. Artist restriction here. If you see it, you see how much it's restricted by it? Art. You cannot have any decorations, no paintings, no curtains, no rugs, no sculptures, no miscellaneous decorative items, not even a fish tank. You're not allowed. Not allowed. Furthermore, you are not allowed to build your creativity with musical instruments or the art easel. Those are off limits. Well, how do I build my creativity for the jobs that need it? You use the computer to write your novels. That's how you do it. That's the only way to do it. Well, unless you got the lie detector and the slacker hydroponics thingamajiggy unlocked. You can use those as well. But, you know, the funny thing about job rewards is they're all restricted for use. You can, only people in that job can use the items. So, for example, random. Life of crime. You can only use the lie detector if you are in the life of crime career path. Unless you've already lifted life of crime, then you can use it whenever. Anybody can use it. Or politics. You cannot use the little speech thingamajiggy unless you're a politician. Or politics has been lifted. Or you're using the seasons rule set, which gets even more complicated. I might do that one day. But there are two more restrictions that are not career tied. They're not tied specifically to any career. The first one is hopelessness, which means you cannot move or marry in any sim at all. The only way you can unlock hopelessness is by lifting a career, which usually means the founder has to top a career field, unless hypothetically this happens. You get, this is actually possible. You can have a female founder, and I would say she gets pregnant, she gives birth to a kid. If the kid, you don't have to lift anything with the founder or anybody really, but you know, it kind of helps out a lot. It does make it easier. But you cannot move anybody into the house for any reason at all unless you have lifted at least one career. It can be any career. It doesn't have to be one specific. It has to be a job, though. You have to lift a career. And lifting a career is as simple as reaching rank 10, which would be you be the mayor, or you become, I don't remember, you become a Hall of Famer, or a business tycoon, or the I can't remember that one either. You become a criminal mastermind, a general, a professional party guest, so on and so forth, all the other career paths, reaching the top level that you cannot go any higher than. Or is it rank 1? And you start at 10 and you go up. They call it a career ladder for a reason. The only other restriction out there is called Alien Tech. And that restricts all aspiration awards. So if you really like your aspiration awards, guess what? Tough luck. They're all on lockdown. And the hot tub there. This one here, the love tub. I'm sorry, but that's restricted by medical as well. You cannot buy an aspiration award until Alien Tech is lifted. Well, how do I lift Alien Tech? It's not restricted to a career. Well, how do I do that? Well, the number one way that everybody Okay, that's a lie. I shouldn't say everybody. I'm sure somebody has done method B, but most people do method A, and that is getting abducted by aliens. Woo! But, you know, you can't do that until you left NASA science. So you can't do any stargazing until NASA science is lifted, so you can't get abducted, so blah blah blah. But this time, no, because there's a second. Oh, that's also restricted by Nat Science too, because you can't. Okay, so it's kind of blockaded by Nat Science overall. But the second method is you take a satellite to work if you are in the science career path, and your job happens to be a top secret researcher or a mad scientist. But the only way to get a satellite is if you get killed by, crushed by it, by either stargazing. I know you get it by watching clouds. It took forever to get that. But most people do the abduction path. And once you get abducted, or you take the satellite to work in the science career field of mad scientist or top secret researcher, then your aspiration awards are unlocked and you have full reign. And that, my friends, is the Apocalypse Challenge rules. Please, as I said, if there are any mistakes, feel free to let me know. I will be making please let me know any adjustments I should probably make to make the whole challenge a little bit more enjoyable. This is just a really basic video, so if you have any suggestions on what I could do to improve, I will tell you right now, I'm not really good at anything really fancy, so if you want, like, oh, I want a fancy introduction, I'm sorry, I cannot provide that. My computer is very limiting right now until it's very limiting right now, I'll just say that. So, until next time, hopefully the next video I will be better improvement. How do I do this? There we go. Until next time, happy simming.